So just be very particular about how you assemble yourself from the ground up. This is where your props are your best friends. So take time to really find your seat, and then know, of course, that you can always shift throughout the practice. Just do it mindfully, so that if you chose a seat that then doesn't serve you anymore, feel free to switch to another kind of seat, and then bring your attention back to what we're doing as a group. But never move sort of habitually or automatically, but really allow your attention to go to a resettling and then come back. So, all right, so as you find your seat, also begin to settle yourself into this moment, into this space, into this community. Perhaps making discerning choices, not just about how you place your body overall, but how you might place your eyelids and your hands. Allowing yourself to arrive fully. Taking perhaps a moment of stillness to really settle yourself into your body. You might have a preferred way of checking in with your physical being, especially if it's early in the morning for you or already the end of a hectic day. There may be a process that works better for you than I could ever imagine to invite you into. And so feel free to come into your body in your own way. Gently tuning into sensations and experiences in this amazing physical being that is you. Perhaps noticing that sensations and experiences in different parts of the body carry with them a different valence, a different affective tone. Some may be pleasant, some may be unpleasant. Some may be neutral in the sense of being almost confusing. Some may be neutral in the sense of often being overlooked. And yet quite interesting once you begin to notice them. Continue to settle yourself into your physical being. And perhaps begin to notice if there is a sense of vitality within that physical being, a sense of energy that perhaps is connected to your breathing. A very tangible connection between body and breath might be the movement of the breath in your body. And so notice if this is a connection that is possible for you. Here too, there are many options, and you may already have a preferred way of feeling that beautiful dance between breath and body. For some of you, that may be tuning into the sensations in the midriff of the body, that gentle expansion through the low ribs, around your entire waist, front, sides, and back as you inhale, and a gentle drawing inward as you exhale. For some of you, the dance between body and breath may be more notable through air flowing in to the nostrils. That air in the nostrils meeting all the amazing processes that the nose goes through to turn air into breath, filtering, warming, empowering. Maybe you also feel that flow of breath out through the nose, being returned to air. Or perhaps for some of you, that dance between body and breath reaches from the nose all the way to the diaphragm, all the way to the pelvic floor. Simply begin to notice how you can sense into that deep connection between your body and your breath. This is, of course, more than a connection. This is a knitting together, a unity, as is true for the entirety of our being, for all of our koshas. We can talk about them separately, but we can't really experience them separately. The awareness of all of them is always with us, even when we direct our attention into a particular place. And so let your attention continue to linger in that dance between physical and vital aspects of your being in this moment. Yet fully aware of your wholeness across all of your layers. Recognizing perhaps as you observe breath and body, how one affects the other in a bi-directional manner. Bracing in the body might translate into hitches or glitches in the breath. Over-breathing in the breath might activate the body. Begin to notice how those two affect one another all the time, whether we pay attention to it or not. And then broaden the attention to also begin to include how body and breath link to mind. This morning, really paying attention to the emotions, the feelings that may be emerging, perhaps linked with thoughts, perhaps linked with mind states. Noticing perhaps whether certain ways of holding your body or breathing your breath might be connected to different mind states or emotions or feelings that have lots of stories or narratives connected to them. If that link is obvious to you, enjoy it. If that link is kind of subtle or elusive, don't worry. Perhaps simply have the faith that body, breath, and mind are intertwined, interwoven, inseparable, and they all affect one another in all directions. Emotions and feelings reverberating into the body, posture contributing to breath, breath contributing to emotion. Begin to ponder the beauty and the miracle of that interconnection. As you perhaps expand your awareness even more widely now to begin to realize how body, breath, and mind are so deeply connected to your community, your biopsychosocialcultural context, in which all of them grew up and developed. Transformed, healed, or challenged, perhaps even traumatized. Just as body and breath are deeply linked, just as breath and mind are deeply intertwined, we cannot separate ourselves from our community, the greater web of life, the context that nurtures us and that we get to nurture in turn as we mature and grow and become wise, compassionate, kind, grateful, equanimous. Take a few more moments in silence as you ponder this deep connection within and around you. This deep interdependence, this deep coexistence. From this realization that you are not a unitary being, but a part of a greater web of life, I invite you, if it suits you, to place your hands to your heart as you bow your head to your heart. To notice if there is a wise intention that is emerging from within you, likely deeply affected by your greater context, your inner and your outer world in its entirety, likely relevant to the entire web of life. This intention could be a felt sense, it could be a symbol, a word, a phrase, or maybe just an opening, a space where an intention might arrive later, when the time is right for you. Sit with that intention for a moment, or that possibility of an intention. Breathing it into your heart. Allowing it expand within you. And perhaps ultimately, silently sharing it outward if you so choose, with an exhalation. Sending that intention into the greater web of life. Inviting the same quietude, compassion, loving kindness, gratitude, joy, to move through not just you, but everything around you. And whenever you feel ready to do so, you could lower your hands if they were lifted, open your eyes if they were closed, and lift your gaze if it was lowered. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone, and those of you who joined during the opening centering. We will start standing today, so I invite you to rise up in your own way. I'll have to adjust my screen a bit. Come around. And find yourself in your mountain shape this morning. Give yourself the joy, the compassion to find a mountain that suits you in this moment. Not a mountain that you may have seen in a picture or have envisioned in your mind for yourself, but give yourself the pleasure of using that that awareness that you've cultivated of all of your layers to find a new mountain, perhaps building it from the ground up, connecting yourself to the earth through your feet, connecting yourself to the sky through rising up, through the length of your body, from your lower appendicular skeleton, through your axial skeleton, through the crown of the head. Connecting yourself to your expansiveness by finding your breath in this mountain shape. Perhaps noticing if there is a different kind of dance between body and breath now as you're standing. Standing with deliberateness, with curiosity about how you can build your mountain this morning to be even steadier than usually, and at the same time, not braced, but also not collapsed, but resilient, adaptable. Notice perhaps the weight of your arms by your side. Dropping your attention into your fingertips as you turn the palms out to face the front. To then take an inhalation and allowing the arms to move up toward the sky with that inhalation, finding expansion through the spine, waiting for the exhalation to return the arms back down to your side, palms now pressing down toward the earth. Repeating that just a couple more times, turning the palms forward and then up, reaching for the sky, staying grounded to the earth. And then returning the hands as the breath flows out, grounding into the earth without losing the connection to the sky. One more time. Can you find joy and gratitude in this very simple way of greeting this moment? As you then raise the arms one more time, but this time hold them overhead. Wait for an exhalation to bring your left arm down and behind you, to anchor itself behind you at your low back. And press your low back gently into that arm as that arm gently presses into the low back, and feel that connection. Maybe even feel not just the connection between arm and back, but between your arm and your breath, as you perhaps move the breath a bit deliberately into the back body. And then use your next exhalation to reach the lifted palm up and overhead, for reaching it for the sky, not for the wall next to you. So not like really cranking yourself over to the left, but instead reaching up toward the sky. I'll do this on my knees so you can see my arm. Up to the sky to open that right side body, but the hand doesn't really cross the midline. It reaches straight up. And find the length in the right side body without overly compressing the left side body or overly compressing any of the vertebrae in your low back. As your navel keeps drawing toward the spine, your low back presses into the left arm presses into the low back, and the right arm reaches up and overhead. With your next exhalation, and don't hurry it along, patiently wait for your exhalation, to lower the right arm down Release the left arm to your side. Relax for a moment into your mountain, re-grounding to the earth, reconnecting to the sky. Feeling the spaciousness of the breath moving through you. Being in this moment, not leaping ahead to the next thing, but right here, right now. And then whenever you feel ready, inhale your arms. With the exhalation, lower the right arm down and behind you. Press it into the low back pressing into the arm. Feel that profound connection, that firing up of your capacity, your stability, the harmony within you. As you then, with an exhalation, begin to reach for the sky through the left side of the body, the left fingertips reaching up without reaching far over, creating length in the left side body without overly compressing the right. Keeping that beautiful connection between the arm, the low back, the navel, and noticing how you're breathing here. Noticing what you're sensing here in your mind, thoughts, stories. Or focus on any one of those if too much is too much. Wait patiently for your next exhalation. And then with that exhalation, very deliberately allow the left arm to descend down to the side. Allow the right arm to release, re-anchor to the earth, and sense inward. Be really curious about the reverberations of this very minimal movement and yet very deliberate effort in your body, your breath, your mind. And then if you would like, you could bring your arms up and overhead and just flow side to side, hands interlaced or clasping the wrist. But not flowing side to side in this sort of exaggerated big side bend, but in that same way of reaching toward the sky as you move with your breath, using the exhalation to expand one side of the body, the inhalation to come to center, and then another exhalation to expand the other side of the body. You could close your eyes here and let yourself work from the inside out. Notice if your shoulders want to collapse forward and keep an open heart. And notice if even here in this expansive shape, you can keep the breath grounded in the belly, grounded in the midriff, even though we are bringing this tightness on the stretchy side into the midriff. Can the breath stay low in the body rather than rising high into the chest or even into the clavicles? Just explore that. Or maybe notice if your breath did move into the chest, into the clavicles, and what traces did that create in your mind, in your body? Maybe the connection to your core disappeared. Maybe emotions showed up. Let's become curious. A couple more times to each side. Anchored by curiosity, by compassion, by kindness into your own movement in body, breath, and mind. When you have completed your two sides, Release the hands if they were interlaced or connected at the wrist. Stand with the arms lifted for a moment. Draw the navel toward the spine toward your imaginary arms in your low back. Find that inner strength, that inner stability, and then bring your arms into cactus. And very gently begin to turn side to side, allowing the hands to land naturally. And find your own rhythm here. Take this as an opportunity to move more quickly if you would like, or even more slowly if you'd prefer. Just giving your spine a little journey around the midline. Allowing the pelvis, of course, to move freely into the rotation. Maybe the opposite knee begins to bend to bring even more freedom into the turn. Maybe speed develops, maybe stillness develops. It's up to you. As you sense into this moment in your body, in your breath, in your mind. Closing the eyes might help if you can stay balanced. As you perhaps begin to swing the arms with ease, with joy, if that's what feels right for you. Or as you perhaps settle the arms on one side and then the other side, moving slowly. Find your own way and move for just a few seconds here, like you might have moved when you were a little child, from the inside out, unconcerned about what anybody else seems to want from you, just allowing yourself the joy of twisting and turning every which way. You might even add a sense of releasing what doesn't serve you, letting go of things that add worry or burden as you let yourself swing freely. And you can swing freely even if you're swinging very slowly. Releasing, letting go for just 3 more times to each side. So count for yourself. We're all moving at different speeds. And then if you were moving quickly, just slow it down until you come to a natural stop. And then place your hands where you might wisely place them intuitively, maybe at your heart, your sides, your back. As you once again draw your attention inward into body, breath, and mind. Noticing how you can almost not see them as separate anymore. Perhaps there's a pulsation of the breath that's in the body and in the mind. They're all connected. This connection doesn't need a label or a word. It can just be your felt sense of, wow, it's all one. Whenever you feel ready to do so, if your hands were lifted in some way, you might begin to release them downward. If you need to stay where you are absolutely welcome to do so until you're ready to move on. I'm going to show this next thing from the side. I invite you to bring your hands to your occiput, so the lower part of the skull in the back. You might feel under your thumbs those 2 prominent points on your skull, where your skull meets the upper spine, the cervical spine. And then very gently imagine yet again your arms in your low back as you draw the belly button toward the spine and bring engagement, stability into the core here. A bit of deliberate, extra deliberate attention to creating good intra-abdominal pressure here. As you press your head into your hands and your hands into your head, creating a lot of isometric action in your body, at your midriff and at the region of the neck. If you can, let the elbows be wide apart here and feel that openness even across the chest. As you perhaps feel a sense of strength between your shoulder blades. You might even imagine a bit of external rotation in the legs without moving the feet anywhere, finding isometric engagement in the entire length of your legs. Standing here so still on the outside and so vibrant, so engaged on the inside. And then if you would like, and if it will feel okay in your own body, begin continuing to press the head firmly into the hands. Begin to bring your elbows forward until they're about parallel, and begin to fold very slightly at the hips and to flex the knees a tiny bit. To come into a kind of awkward partway chair here as you continue to press the head into the hands, even as you begin to curl yourself into a little ball over your own thighs, rounding into the spine, head still pressing into the hands, hands into the head. Have that external rotation in the legs strong, stable, or maybe a little shaky, who knows? And then uncurl yourself, one vertebra at a time. Hips extend, knees extend, elbows open up. As you are once again in your sort of supermodel pose here. And then do this a couple more times on your own. Starting with an exhale whenever you are ready. Starting with the elbows moving toward each other. The hips flexing. The knees flexing. And then the spine curling forward. Waiting for an inhalation to begin to uncurl in your own way. Feeling like a flower that's unfolding in the morning sun. And then one last time, starting with the elbows, never losing that strong engagement of the head, pressing into the hands. Even at the very base of this movement, the head presses into the hands. And with your next inhalation, if you haven't already, once again, unfolding your beauty here. Perhaps standing for a moment longer with that engagement, head pressing into the hands, navel drawing toward the spine, low back moving into your imaginary arms behind you. And then gently beginning to loosen that connection between the hands and the head, and returning the arms to your side. And notice your breath. Notice your body. Notice your feelings, or perhaps pure emotion. Maybe a sense of connection, even joy, gratitude, curiosity, whatever there is for you. Noticing perhaps as the breath slowly begins to change, to find quietude after exertion. And then if you feel ready, you can join in the next movement. I invite you to come to the top of your mat. And then from here to come into a squat. You can do it in your own way. If you'd like to try something very specific, you could bring your arms forward and then bring your hips way out behind you. The spine is in its natural curves. As you come deeper and deeper and deeper, using your own arms, I have to switch my screen, your own arms as a counterweight here to keep from falling backwards. As you perhaps begin to very much and very controlled and stable to bring your bum all the way to the ground. Maybe you need a hand behind you, maybe you don't. It's up to you. And then from here, roll yourself onto your back. Let the arms land up and overhead, turning the palms up to face the sky. And very gently place the outside of your right ankle just above the left knee. If you can, hook your foot around the right foot, around that left knee. And then resist the urge to use your hands. This is why your arms are up and overhead, so that you don't get tempted. And use your strength to press the right knee away from your body. So you're making a figure four, but without hands. Finding a bit of an opening in that right hip, in your natural range of motion. Nothing passive here. No hand pressing that knee away. Instead, allowing your body to find its own range here. And allowing the breath to bring ease into that effort. As you perhaps also begin to notice the story in your mind, the feelings, the emotions that may accompany this. If you would like, for just a moment, you could lift the left foot away from the earth without moving the right knee closer to the body. You may not have a lot of range. That left foot may not lift very high. And find an isometric pressing of the ankle into the thigh, thigh into ankle. Notice the effect on your breath. Can you ground your low back into the earth? How is the mind doing with this engagement? And then release the left foot down, nice and slow, feeling that rolling across your sacrum. Maybe even imagining what this might be like for your tailbone. And then with an exhalation, let the arms begin to travel up and toward the front, bringing the upper body with you as you come into a bit of a curl here. Reaching past your legs, that right knee still pressing away. And notice your breath here. In this curled position, can you breathe into the back body, into the side body? How is your mind responding to this effort? You can, of course, release back onto your back anytime you would like. Or you can take another round of breath. And then with an inhalation, waiting for it patiently, bring the arms up and overhead and let yourself curl back down, deliberately replacing the head on the earth, not plopping down, rolling down, and then release that right head and maybe shake it out in the air, draining it of any tension that may have crept in. And then allow that foot to return to the earth. Notice your two sides, simply with curiosity. Notice your breath, your mind. Can you be present with what is right now without jumping ahead into the future, the other side? Let yourself feel the shift in your breathing as all of your limbs are once again grounded. You could stay here if you've had enough, or if you would like to explore the other side, gently bring the outside of the left ankle to just above the right knee. Curl your foot, if you can, around that right knee. That's not possible for every ankle. I should have said this on the other side. And so whatever your anatomy allows you, that's what you do. But find some engagement in the foot, some drawing of the toes toward the knee, the left toes toward the left knee. That will protect your knee joint as you begin to press the knee under muscle power, not arm power, away from the body, exploring now your natural range of motion in your hip joint, and of course lots of other things on this side. Really isolating the effort in the lower body, keeping the shoulders relaxed, the face relaxed. Maybe finding an advanced version of this shape on this side by bringing a smile to the entirety of your face. Not some fake smile just in your mouth, but only smiling if you can really smile with all your facial muscles. And then if you would like to explore, you could see about lifting the right foot away from the earth any amount without losing that pressing away of the left knee. Feeling the strong isometric engagement at some point between the ankle and the knee. Grounding the low back into the earth and staying as easeful as possible in the upper body, as you maybe also begin to notice the impact on the breath and the mind here. Whenever you are ready to release this, you can wait for an exhalation to settle the right foot back into the earth. And then with an exhalation, lift the arms up and overhead, and then slowly curl the spine up as you tuck the chin ever so slightly, head drawing back as if it were still pushing into those interlaced hands. Maybe you need to curl down and up a few times repeatedly rather than holding, yogi's choice. Left knee is still pressing away from the body. And then with an inhalation, you can lift the arms up and overhead, releasing them on the earth. Maybe repeating this one more time As you exhale, lift and curl. Do you feel alive here in body, breath, and mind? And whenever you are ready to release back, inhale, lift, lower, and settle for a moment. Release the left foot back to the earth. Maybe step the feet mat width apart. Let the knees come together. And invite a moment of ease into your entire being. How are body, breath, and mind recalibrating here? Are they doing this in unison? Can you sense into the connection between what is unfolding in your physicality and your vitality and your emotionality? From here, I invite you to draw your knees toward your chest. Maybe you find the shins, maybe you find the thighs, maybe you don't feel a need to hold on to your legs as you begin to rock a tiny bit across your spine a few times. Again, maybe pretend you're a little kid. So you're rocking the long way if you'd like. You could, of course, rock side to side as well. Ultimately, rock the long way so that at some point, like a little kid, you could be so joyful that the movement brings you all the way to your feet. And maybe not, right? Maybe you're not that kid quite anymore. But if it does happen that you come to your feet, then enjoy that for a moment and then bring the hands to the very tippy top of your mat or wherever your feet are. Like for me, that's the tippy top of the mat. And step one foot and then the other foot back. And let yourself arrive in this half inversion. And notice the shift that happens with this large shift in how we've placed the body. This will necessitate a shift in your breath, a shift probably in your mind, in the stories you have, the emotions even you might feel. Can you find more ease in this down dog shape by maybe bending your knees, widening the side-to-side width between the hands, maybe turning the upper arm bones slightly in to broaden a bit? Those are all tricks that help transform down dog into more of a resting shape. And can you, as you make these little adjustments, notice any shift in your vitality, in your breathing, in your emotions? Now, I'll invite you into a shape that some of you may interpret as pigeon pose. I'm not inviting you into pigeon, because pigeon is really a shape that's not good for the SI joint or for the knee for most people. So I'm inviting you into something that may look somewhat similar, but it doesn't have those challenges. And so the invitation is to first move the shoulders above the wrist and then to bring the right knee just to the inside of the right wrist. The knee stays in line the lower leg stays in line with the upper leg, so there's no diagonal here. The leg is entirely in this sagittal plane. And then you can lower the back knee down, maybe even bring the top of the foot to the earth as you settle your right thigh on your right calf. You could have a lift under the left hip if you would like. You could use a block or a blanket if you want that support. But in essence, your body weight will rest on the right side. So you're going to drape yourself onto your right thigh. The right thigh is resting on the right calf. The right calf is resting on the earth. And the left side of the body is somewhat unsupported. As you bow forward and maybe make a little cushion with your hands or with a block or a blanket for your forehead here, as you allow yourself to curl down, let the left hip draw upward and the right hip downward so that they stay parallel. This protects your SI joint. Your knee joint is in a very compressed position, but it's in a very natural position. As you settle yourself in here to explore your breathing, how does your vitality, your energy, even your affective tone or your emotions, how do they all shift? As you are in this compressed position on the right side of the body and this free and unencumbered shape on the left side. Can you notice if the breath is redistributing itself in its own creative way? Take 2 more full rounds of breath in your own way, at your own speed. Without hurrying yourself along, just know that after the end of that second breath, you can bring your palms back to the earth. You can curl your back foot under, and you can lift yourself up by pressing the earth away from you with your hands. You will curl the toe and lift the left knee to bring the right foot back to come once again into your version of down dog, finding that relaxed, released version here by finding the Goldilocks position for the width of your hand placement, the Goldilocks position for that internal rotation in the humerus that allows for so much stability in that glenohumeral joint. Maybe allowing for a slight bend in the knees to bring more ease into the low back. And maybe drawing that belly button toward the spine and pressing the low back into your imaginary hands behind you for strength. Notice if your breath has settled. Notice what is unfolding in your mind. And then whenever you are ready with an inhalation, you can begin your journey to the other side, coming forward toward a plank first, drawing the left knee to the inside of the left wrist, foot in line with the knee, lowering the right knee to the earth, the top of the right foot to the earth, releasing the left thigh on top of the left calf. The left heel will likely touch somewhere near your sits bones. Kind of depends on your own anatomy. And then whenever you feel ready, you can begin to release forward, ultimately making a pillow for your head, remembering the entire time to keep the hips parallel by drawing the back leg forward, forward leg back. Finding that alignment that supports health in your SI joint. And then finding a sense of release and letting go as you're compressing now the left side. And notice how this might shift your breathing. And notice if this shift in breathing has an effect on anything else, whether your body or your mind. As you settle into about 3 rounds of breath still on this side. Not hurrying yourself along at all. Wait for the end of your 3rd breath. And whenever you get there, plant the palms on the ground. Curl the back toes under. Press the earth away with your hands. Lift the back knee up. Begin to lift the hips. Make sure you keep that nice alignment of parallel hips. And then from that strength, press yourself back into your down dog. This time we won't be here very long. Just be here long enough to sense the freedom here of the belly as it has no more obstruction in front of it. And notice perhaps how this changes or frees the breath. And then for our very last shape, bring your knees to the earth. Bring your hips toward your heels. Maybe you have a blanket between the calves and the thighs, if that serves you better. Come into your version of child's pose. If you have the legs open, because that's your anatomy, it might be nice to bring a bolster or a blanket or something in front of you so that you can feel a bit of compression on the belly. If your anatomy allows for a child's pose with the legs closed so that you can rest the torso on your legs, that might be a variation to choose. Build a support for your forehead, whether it's a blanket or a block or your hands. And then settle yourself into your child's pose. Noting the compression of the front body. And noting how this necessitates a shift of the breath into the back body. For some, this may feel very, very strange. As a culture, we're very used to breathing into the front body. Now, we've prepared by doing this one-sided first, but a two-sided version can still be a bit overwhelming. And so notice very carefully what happens as you begin to very gently coax your breath to move into the back body. Yes, there may be physical reverberations, but the stronger reverberations may be into the mind. It is almost impossible to alter the breath without altering the mind, our emotions. Emotions and breath are very, very linked. Each emotion has a respiratory signature. Each breath has a reverberation into emotion, into mind, into feeling. This shape may put you in touch with that. Can you let yourself rest with that? Can you entrust yourself to allow this process to unfold? If this is way too uncomfortable, you can always rise to a hero's shape and simply sit there and observe. We will take about a minute here, or in whatever shape you choose as an alternative if this does not suit you. Can you continue to give yourself the gift of presence here? Being with and letting be, even if there is challenge. At the end of your next exhalation, waiting patiently for it, you can bring your palms yet again to the earth. And yet again, press the hands into the ground as if you were going to press the earth away to lift yourself up, arriving perhaps for a brief moment in a diamond shape, and then releasing the hips to one side, swinging the legs forward in your own time, at your own speed, not hurrying any of that process along. If you're not in sync, you can let this unfold in your own time. Once you have arrived in a seat, know that we're headed toward Shavasana. So I invite you to find your position on your back, to take a bit of a rest. So you might want a blanket under your head, reaching down to that transition between the cervical and thoracic spine. Maybe the blanket folded like a diamond there, or having a long edge across the scapulae, supporting the head so that the throat is neither hyperextended nor compressed. Maybe bringing a bit of a rolled blanket or bolster under the knees to continue to bring ease into the back. Settling yourself into Shavasana with deliberation, with compassion. And if you know exactly what you like in Shavasana, do that. Invite your body to surrender to gravity. Invite your breath to surrender to the flow of life force that moves through all of us. Invite your mind to surrender itself to your deeper inner wisdom that will return you to whatever is necessary. Invite your wisdom and your joy to accompany you as you move into about 2 minutes of silence to absorb the practice. very gently invite your senses to reawaken to your inner and outer world. Perhaps begin to sense the environment around you, the sounds, the aromas, the textures. Sense inward into your body, noticing sensations, experiences, needs. Maybe inviting yourself to notice if you need a few little wiggles or stretches, or if your body would like to remain in quietude. And then begin to notice your breathing, perhaps in connection with being in your body, feeling the unfolding of each inhalation, experiencing the release of each exhalation. Connect body and breath with mind, perhaps with your state of mind in this moment. Sensing into your connection with a greater web of life as you begin to ponder the next step in this practice, which will be your unique journey to a seat. And so before you move, plot a course, plot a route for your body. And then whenever you feel ready, take all the time you need in the next 10 to 15 seconds to make that journey to an upright position. Once you've arrived at a seat, if it serves you, I invite you to place your hands to your heart as you bow your head to your heart. Acknowledging yet again your profound connection, your connection to yourself in all of your layers, your connection to your community, your connection to your past, your present, and your future. Your connection to an entire web of life that can only sustain if it is cared for with compassion, with loving kindness, with gratitude, with equanimity. Perhaps take a moment, if it serves, to ponder if there is a takeaway from your time on the mat this morning. Something that you would like to settle into your tissues, into your vitality, into your mind, into your memory. Something that perhaps links to the very personal intention that you had set for yourself at the beginning of the practice. Perhaps that linkage between a possible takeaway and your intention results in the dedication of the merit of your time on the mat this morning. If such a dedication emerges for you, I invite you to use an inhalation to draw it within, allowing it to expand in your body, your breath, your mind. And then perhaps sending it silently outward with an exhalation. Inviting that dedication to spread itself through your community and into the greater web of life. Thank you all so much for allowing me to practice with you in this way. It's truly a joy, an honor, and a privilege. Thank you all.